Story 1. I forgot I was recording 4th of July Revenge. Before we dive into tonight's story, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell button like you're ringing for room service at a 5-star hotel. Trust me, you won't want to miss what we've got cooking. Dear gods, this was satisfyingly petty and I just had to share. I, 30F, went to the grocery store to pick up prescriptions for myself and my 2 roommates who happen to be my amazing grandma, 73F, and great-grandmother, 94F. While on my way out, I decided to grab one of the $35 value packs of fireworks for the 4th, which was the next day. They were really excited, and it made me just as excited, as I like setting things on fire, legally. Last important note for this story is we live in a trailer park that used to be a 55-plus community. It hasn't been for at least 5 years. Anyhow, here's the juice. I went out and started setting up at sunset. I moved cars, cleaned the area up, wet the ground to cool it down and dampen the house and bark dust. I also set up a 5G water bucket about 1/3 filled to put our used fireworks into. Where I live, you can't have anything that shoots into the air like a projectile, only fountains and such are allowed. Doesn't stop people from crossing to other states to get the big boys, but I am not one of them. My neighbors were though. It will come up later, hee. So I help my 94GG down and we get set up in the driveway and start setting off a couple smaller fountains. The snaps and crackles of a couple caught us very off guard. We were having a blast. About 15 minutes into it, a car stops and waits for our current fountain to finish, or so I thought. The driver, an elderly woman in her 70s it looked like, gets out and shouts at us that we are not allowed to shoot off fireworks on park property. I looked at her a bit dumbfounded and asked her what she said. She repeated herself and told us if we continued we would be put up for eviction from our property. I asked her if she was park management, and she replied she wasn't, but she was head of the Parks Rules Committee, and had been since she moved here in 2016. We had never heard of it after living here since 2014. She snapped that it is in our rules and we need to read up on them and cease our violation of the rules, or she would have us kicked out. She finally went on her way and I scoffed a little. My grandmas were both a bit shaken and told me to just stop, but I felt petty. So, with my thousands of hours of body cams and listening about entitled people on or / I looked down and remembered. My phone had been recording the entire time because I was filming our fireworks. So I went for a walk, wondering who this lady was. I spotted some familiar neighbors who have been here for 20+ years, and I asked them if we had a Park Rules Committee. All 3 of them stared at me like I had 7 heads. Yeah, that's what I thought. I asked them about the rules and RHE eldest confirmed it wasn't allowed, but as long as we were being safe, no one was going to give us trouble. I told her about my setup and showed her the video of the lady. They were dumbfounded and said she was full of it. As I was walking back, I spotted her standing in her front yard, staring at me. It was right across from sweet old Lattice house. So I pointed and yelled, "Hey, there she is. It's the Park Rules Committee head." She glared at me and snapped, "I am the head of the Parks Rules Committee." The elderly man who walks his dog 3 times a day that was behind me scoffed and went, "No, you're not, lady. Happy 4th. She was pissed and stormed back into her house. That wasn't the prettiest part though, because remember my neighbors? They were a bit younger, like me. When I told them what had happened, they started setting off the biggest and loudest ones, because we all live pretty close by. I hope she had a good 4th, honestly. Story 2. Tenancy troubles. For context, my partner and I have been looking for a new house in a different part of the country, over 5 hours away from where we currently are. The search has been going on for almost a year now, and we finally found a lovely place we think will be perfect for us and will be moving in next month. This isn't a super dramatic story, but the outcome feeling sadistically vindicated. Around the time the house hunt started, my partner was having a particularly busy period at work. Well, I had some time off, so I decided to handle most of the correspondence with landlords/letting agents. Here's where it's important to note that my partner is white and I'm not. I have ethnic-sounding first and last names. Within the first month of searching, we found a lovely little cottage in the area we wanted that was well within our price range, around 200-300 PCM below our max budget. So we saw the listing for this cottage the day it was put up, and I called them immediately. Left all my details with the letting agency and asked them to send over a video walkthrough of the place, which they did. We saw the video, still loved the place despite a few fixer-upper aspects, and decided to put down an offer at the asking price. And since I was the one handling correspondence, I was the one listed as the primary tenant on the offer. Didn't hear anything back for a couple of days, so I called back the letting agency to see what was going on and was told the landlord has had bad experiences going with the first offer he gets in the past. So since it was only listed the other day, he would like to wait to see if he gets a better offer before making a decision. I felt like this was a bit strange, but we really liked the place, so figured it's worth the wait to hear back, and we can still keep making inquiries into other places in the meantime. About a week later, call back again and we're told the landlord still hadn't decided. We figured that meant there must have been quite a few offers coming in. So we decided to add an extra 200% mill to our offer, taking it above the asking price. Cut to a few weeks later, still have not heard anything back, and the letting agency has also seemingly gone LC, consistently sending me to voicemail. On the rare occasions I did get through, I was told that the landlord still hadn't made a decision yet, which then turned into them saying he has apparently gone MIA and hasn't been getting back to them. I called them back pretty much once or twice a week for the 3 months following this, consistently getting told by the agency that they would get back to me the next day, and they never did. Eventually, we got sick of it and told them that we needed a definite yes or no answer because it was getting ridiculous, and while we loved the place, it wasn't worth the long period of limbo. Finally got a response about 3 days later saying the landlord rejected the offer and was refusing to give a reason. At this point, I had already accepted that a no was the likely outcome, but found it very strange that the landlord was refusing to give even a semblance of why, as most others have tended to explain at least briefly why they said no. I asked if there were other/better offers that he was considering and was told that wasn't the case. Even the letting agents, who had come to know me at this point, were confused. Upon a bit of digging, turns out that the landlord is a very traditional old white man who is more than a bit of a nationalist, if you catch my drift. It started to make a bit more sense since within the law in this country, landlords can pretty much reject any prospective tenants for anything except for blatant discrimination, e.g., if the landlord doesn't want to let people of color. So it was weird that he refused to even make up a fake excuse to give the agents. Safe to say we were annoyed, but this was months ago now, so we had more or less forgotten about the whole thing. The reason I'm posting this here now is because turns out I'm still on the mailing list for the letting agency for properties in my search area, and yesterday I received an email about the same cottage having a renewed listing with a drastically reduced asking price. Turns out, nobody else seems to want to live there, so it looks like we dodged a bullet. It just made me smile knowing that this racist old man had the chance to get an extra 200% mill over asking, but now has had to reduce it so that it's 300 below the original price, and I sincerely hope he's kicking himself for it. Story 3. My petty revenge was an absolute failure. Work at a preschool. Working with the 3 to 55-year-olds, I also have a disability, which means sometimes I use a cane or different braces. At the start of the summer semester, I spent 2 weeks working with a teacher I had not worked with before, but who I knew was difficult. When I informed her I couldn't bend over to clean tables, she commented, "I've never worked with an injured person before." It went downhill from there. I am not a petty person, but 2 weeks of ableist comments will make anyone angry. So while she was out of her room for a conference, I made my petty move. We have wooden blocks in every classroom, and every room except hers had labels on the shelves to show kids where to put the differently shaped blocks. Instead of using labels, she just fussed at the kids for doing it wrong. I put labels on the shelves, knowing that she would be pissed that someone had tampered with her room. I did it on a Friday. On Monday, I came in and lied when she asked if I knew who had done it. On Tuesday, I learned that she thought it was the best surprise ever, and that she had cornered my coworker and made him spill the beans. On Wednesday, I received a thank you gift for all the hard work I do. Today, I'm thinking that I'm not cut out for petty revenge, and next time need to just go for the aggressive approach and smack her with my cane.